The silent passenger. Detective Mark Rains had seen countless crime scenes in his career, but this one clawed at him. A man's body was discovered in an empty train car, pale, stiff, and with an expression of pure, frozen terror. No sign of struggle, no blood, no wounds. Just gone. The train had arrived at its final stop, but no passengers had reported anything unusual. A knot of unease tightened in Mark's stomach. The man, later identified as Alan Brooks, had boarded the train at Willow Creek Station. The CCTV footage showed him sitting alone in the last car. At 11:43 p.m., the footage flickered for exactly 4 seconds, and when it returned, Alan was slumped over, dead. Dead in a way that made Mark's blood run cold. No one entered. No one left. It was impossible. The autopsy revealed nothing. No poison, no cardiac arrest, nothing. It was as if his life had simply been snatched away. The only peculiar detail? His fingernails were cracked and bloody, as if he had been clawing at something. But there was nothing under them, no foreign skin, no fibers, no evidence. Just raw, desperate scratches. Mark interviewed the conductor, the passengers, even the janitor. Each "I didn't see him" was a hammer blow to his sanity. It was as if Alan Brooks had never been there at all. A ghost on a train. Driven by a growing dread, Mark reviewed the footage again. This time, his heart pounded in his chest as he noticed something odd. In the reflection of the train window, behind Alan, was a faint figure, impossible to see with the naked eye. He enhanced the footage, his hands trembling. The figure was humanoid but distorted, like a shadow pressed against the glass. Its long, bony fingers seemed to hover just above Alan's shoulders. Touching him. Mark's breath hitched. He rewound, his pulse hammering in his ears. The moment the screen flickered, the figure disappeared, and Alan's head drooped lifelessly forward. A cold sweat broke out on his brow. The terror didn't end there. The train car, now a tomb, was pulled from service and locked away. Yet, every night, the security cameras captured the same horrifying tableau. The last row seat, where Alan had died, would be empty at first. But as the hours passed, a dark shape would slowly coalesce, sitting silently in the shadows. Waiting. One by one, the officers assigned to watch the footage reported strange dreams, Alan Brooks standing in their rooms, whispering things they couldn't quite hear. Some claimed they woke up gasping, feeling unseen fingers wrapping around their throats, choking them. Others refused to sleep at all, their eyes wide with fear. The case was eventually closed as unexplained death. A failure. The train car was decommissioned and scrapped, but the fear lingered. Passengers still report glimpses of a shadowy figure in passing train windows. And every so often, a seat in an empty car remains cold, long after the last passenger has departed. A silent reminder. The investigation continues. Despite the official case closure, Mark was haunted. Sleep offered no respite, only replays of the flickering screen and the shadowy figure. He felt a growing certainty that he was being watched. Late at night, he found himself replaying the footage, his stomach churning with each frame. He noticed subtle details, a slight distortion in the air before the flicker, an unnatural stillness just before Alan's death. A presence. Mark, desperate, reached out to Dr. Henry Cole, a retired forensic analyst who specialized in the unusual. Dr. Cole, his voice grave, analyzed the video frame by frame. What he found made Mark's blood freeze in his veins. The figure wasn't just a reflection, it had depth, movement, intent. Its eyes locked onto Alan's just before the screen flickered. "Whatever this is," Dr. Cole murmured, his voice barely a whisper, "it's not just an anomaly. It's intelligent. It chose him." Mark, his mind reeling, decided to retrace Alan Brooks' last steps. He visited Willow Creek Station, his hands clammy. The ticket clerk, her eyes darting nervously, hesitated before revealing a chilling detail: Alan had bought a ticket to nowhere. The destination was blank, the fare calculated at zero. Confused and deeply unnerved, Mark dug deeper, a sense of dread creeping into his bones. Alan's address led him to an abandoned apartment. Inside, the air was thick with a sense of decay and despair. The walls were covered in strange symbols, cryptic messages scratched into the paint: "It sees me. It follows. The last seat is not empty." He felt a cold breath on his neck. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. An unknown number. He hesitated, his finger hovering over the answer button. He answered, his voice trembling. A whisper. Faint. Unmistakable. Malevolent. "You shouldn't have watched." The line went dead. A chill, colder than any he had ever felt, ran through him. He turned, his heart pounding in his chest, glancing at the dimly lit reflection in the apartment's cracked window. Behind him, just for a second, he saw the shadow. Watching. Waiting. For him. Detective Mark Rains quit the force 6 months later. No reason given. But those who knew him best swore that he was never the same after the night he watched the footage, and saw the shadow standing behind him. He'd become another ghost, haunted by something he couldn't name, something he couldn't escape.